So the American Express Gold Card is one of those controversial cards that either people hate it or they absolutely love it. And I'm one of those rare cases where I'm kind of in the middle and I'm deciding whether or not I actually want to renew this card because of the new annual fee and some of the changes that have been made. So in this video, what I want to do is give you guys my all-encompassing review of this card and also talk to you guys about some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to really maximize all the different perks and benefits from this card, as well as maximizing transfer partners. So without further ado, sit back, relax, get some popcorn, and let's talk about the Amex Gold Card and see if it's worth it for you. So let's quickly go over the annual fee and the sign-up bonus because that's going to help you understand if it's going to be worth it for you in the first year. And then we'll talk about what it's like owning this card in year 2, 3, and then some. So first off, it is a $325 annual fee card, and it is increased from the last annual fee of $250. So for $325, that is what's going to cost you to own this card on a yearly basis. And the current public sign-up offer is 60,000 points after spending $6,000 in the first 6 months of owning this card, which does easily offset the annual fee because those 60,000 points is worth $600 through the American Express portal. But just some food for thought, I have seen some other offers floating around of around 90,000, 75,000, maybe even 100,000 in terms of membership reward points as a sign-up bonus. So definitely find out the best offer that you can find for yourself, but I will leave my link down below, which really does help the channel out. So the biggest reason why this card is so appealing, especially on paper, is because of the spending multipliers and more importantly, the categories of those spending multipliers. Because most Americans spend most of their money outside of rent on food and dining out, and that's exactly what this card is going to be able to handle from a multiplier standpoint. So you do get 4x back on every dollar spent at US supermarkets, up to $25,000 of spend on an annual basis, which means that's up to 100,000 American Express points if you do max that out. And then you also get 4x on all dining, whether it is takeout or in person, up to $50,000, and that's for worldwide restaurants, so that you can use this either in the US or while traveling, and you can still get 4x back on that. And some other auxiliary spending categories is you get 3x back on all airline travel booked through the American Express portal, and then you get 2x back on all prepaid hotel bookings from the American Express portal as well, and then you get a 1x back on every dollar spent for all the other categories that doesn't fit in the ones that I mentioned. And as of right now, from what I'm understanding, the American Express Gold Card is the only card that gives you 4x back on dining as well as 4x back on groceries. There's some other cards that get you close to that and some other cards that maybe have some other multipliers a little higher, but you have to pick one or the other. So for 4x back on both of those categories, if that's something you absolutely need, then this is going to be the only real option for you. And now when it comes to the other perks and benefits, some people don't really like that it is turning kind of into a little brother of the American Express Platinum, which is basically a large coupon book, but I kind of like that because it helps me identify if this is going to be worth it for me or not from an annual fee standpoint. So the perks that you do get are $120 towards Uber Eats/Uber on a yearly basis. This does get paid out to you on a monthly basis at $10 per month, and it's one of those situations where if you don't use it, you lose it. So decide upon yourself if you order Uber Eats once a month, or if you take an Uber once a month, then you will get value out of that, lowering the annual fee from $325 to $205 if you use that every single month. You also get a $120 dining credit that offers the same exact perks, so it's $10 a month. If you don't use it, you lose it, and it's with certain merchants. So Grubhub is one of them, which is the main one I use, but then you also have things like Shake Shack, as well as Cheesecake Factory, Five Guys, and Goldbelly. So if you do dine at one of those places, or if you use Grubhub for delivery a lot, then those $10 could go a long way for you, and if you do maximize that, you're at $240 overall of value, lowering that $325 annual fee down to $85. And then the new things that were added over to the American Express Gold with that elevated annual fee is that you get $7 a month for Dunkin' in terms of a Dunkin' credit. Same thing applies here. If you don't use it, you lose it on a monthly basis, giving you an $84 value, which lowers that annual fee down to $1. And then lastly, you have a $100 Resi credit that is broken up into a biannual credit of $50 every 6 months, giving you an effective annual fee of positive $99. So if you do use all of those credits, that's before talking about any of the other smaller ones like the hotel credit that you get and things like that. If you're able to maximize those 4 main credits, this is going to give you outsized value in order to be able to use this card. Now again, this is not going to be for everybody because maybe you live in a rural area where there isn't a lot of delivery options, or maybe Resi isn't an option, or maybe you're in a situation where Dunkin' Donuts isn't around, because these places aren't everywhere all over the country. So if you are in a place like I am, which is close to New York City, close to Philadelphia, maybe down in South Florida, and again, any other major city, this will be easy to take advantage of. But if you're not, then you might not be in a position where you are getting a positive effective annual fee out of this American Express Gold Card. So to give you a realistic example, for myself and my wife, we will not take advantage of all of those credits, at least not every single time. Do we order Uber Eats? We do, but not too often because we try not to overspend on dining and things like that. So we only order it maybe 3-4 times a year, if that. So let's put that at a $40 value for Uber Eats. For that other $120 dining credit, I use it on occasion, probably a little bit more, especially because there's a Cheesecake Factory on my commute home. So once a month, I do pick up a cheesecake slice, which is essentially a 99-cent cheesecake slice after you take away those $10. So I do get maybe $60 worth of credit on that one. So that's $100 that I get so far out of those 2 credits. Then for Resi, this one is a big one for me because with the Resi credit, we do actually live around a ton of Resi restaurants. So we've already used the first $50 credit and I can see myself easily using the other $50 credit. So I'm gonna give myself the full $100 value for that Resi credit, bring it down to $125 effective annual fee. And then a nice little tip and trick when it comes to Dunkin' Donuts is that with Dunkin' Donuts, it's similar to Starbucks. They have an application and you can preload money onto the Dunkin' Donuts app. So what I've been doing since this new credit came around, even though I don't dine at Dunkin' Donuts very often, if at all, it's always good to at least maximize this in some way, especially since you're paying for it already, is that I preload $7 every single month from my American Express Gold Card onto my Dunkin' Donuts application, and that does count as your $7 Dunkin' credit. So this technically, even though those credits don't roll over from an American Express standpoint, you can actually preload it up and then those don't expire through your Dunkin' application. So you can keep loading it and loading it, so maybe once every 6 months or once every couple of months you have a bunch of people over, you can offer to buy Dunkin' Donuts for everybody or bring a dozen donuts over because you've stockpiled $28, $35, maybe even $42 worth of those $7 Dunkin' credits. So if you add those totals up for myself, so it's $100 for Resi, $100 between both dining credits, as well as the $84 that I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of to a certain extent for Dunkin' Donuts, that's a $284 value that I'm getting from the $325 annual fee. So then you start to understand and beg the question of that $40 difference or $41 difference, is that worth it in order to keep this card to get those multipliers? So I definitely recommend doing that exercise for yourself before you do apply for this card to understand and see if you're going to be getting as much value as possible. Because in my opinion, if you can get that effective annual fee under maybe $100, depending on what kind of perks and coupons you're using from this gold card, then it could be worth it because you do get, like I said, the 4x on dining as well as the 4x on groceries, which is something that we don't have anywhere else in the credit card market as of right now, especially with a credit card that has such great transfer partners. And then the other superpower of the American Express Gold is those transfer partners, and for all intents and purposes, the transfer partner list that they have is great, especially when you compare it to other ones. I would put Chase as 1A and American Express as 1B. I tend to gravitate a litlittle bit more towards Chase because of the Hyatt partnership, but one of the superpowers is that it does transfer to Hilton at a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning that those 4x that you're earning on dining and 4x that you're earning on groceries is technically 8x Hilton points. So if you transfer over 50,000 American Express points, that's now going to be worth 100,000 Hilton points, which does go a long way. Now, when you compare Hilton to Hyatt, Hilton has way more properties and it does have a dynamic award chart versus on the Hyatt side, it's fewer properties, but they do have that persistent award chart, meaning that you know exactly how much it's going to cost. And if you do try to compare apples to apples, let's say on the Hyatt side, a Category 8 hotel is worth 40,000 points. If you transfer over 40,000 American Express points to Hilton, that gives you 80,000 points, which is enough to give you a very high-end hotel luxury experience. So it does kind of compare nicely, even though it looks a little bit more inflated and maybe a little less valuable from the American Express side, purely because of the number, and people forget about the actual value of that 2-to-1 transfer ratio. One last thing to take into account when it comes to the American Express Gold Card, especially for the charge cards in general, American Express recently made some changes to how you can qualify for the sign-up bonuses, basically stating that if you apply for a higher tier card, you are no longer eligible on a lifetime basis to then be eligible for the other sign-up bonuses for the quote-unquote lesser cards. So if you've applied for the American Express Platinum and you want to get the sign-up bonus for the American Express Gold Card, unfortunately you will not be able to get it. So my recommendation is to start off with a smaller card, so start off with the American Express Green Card, get that sign-up bonus, then the Gold, get that one, and then finally get the Platinum sign-up bonus, which we've seen upwards of 150,000 points depending on when you're looking for those sign-up bonuses. So overall, my recommendation, at least from my personal situation, I actually like the American Express Gold Card. I plan on keeping it. My renewal is supposed to be coming up at the end of December here this month. So I have decided to hold on to this card and definitely stay subscribed because I have a retention offer kind of walkthrough on how you're able to maybe either waive that annual fee or get some additional perks in terms of a retention offer on a points basis. So definitely get subscribed to that because we tried to work our magic in being able to waive that annual fee. And let me know in the comment down below if you've ever had a retention offer experience and what that was like. But I will recommend getting this card if you want something that's very easy to use, something that's going to tackle your two main spending categories aside from rent. For instance, this combined with a build card is a great duo to have that's only going to cost you $325 per year for both of those cards because the build card is a 0 annual fee card. But let me know in the comment down below what you think. Is the American Express worth it for you? Do you own one? Do you plan on renewing it if you do own one? Have you been charged that new $325 annual fee? Are you using those credits? All questions that I would love to know. But that'll do it. As I said, if you want to see exactly how this pairs up nicely with the build card, definitely check out one of these videos right here. And if you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.